on with my encyclopedia for mermay. Now, where did I put... Got away. Oh, you guys are still here. Welcome back to the finale part of mermay. Let's begin. Now, it wouldn't be a normal video if I didn't change things up a bit, because I can't make up my mind to save my life sometimes when it comes to the way I edit these videos, but hopefully this one should stay for a while. I didn't want things to be too boring and just have you guys listen to me ramble a bit, so I decided to add some more fun facts about these creatures, and some sound effects that I had perilously gotten very close to these creatures to record. Some of them were friendly, some of them not so much. This species actually was one that was an endangered one. When doing my research for them, I realized that the ghostly appearance is because some of them are dead. Next up on my journey took me to see the salmon shark. Now this creature loves salmon, almost as much as me, I'd have to say, if not a little bit more. I love salmon and yellowfin tuna, sushi, and sashimi. When it comes to that, that's actually one of my favorite meals when going out and splurging on myself. However, when documenting this creature, I'd have to say that they are not the largest shark, but they are still quite intimidating. Their bite would definitely tear a poor salmon fish to bits. Up next, at the very bottom of the ocean, the Manta Shrimp. Though they are very small, they are very dexterous. Oh my goodness, you get too close, they will punch you at the speed of light. These guys can crack water. I didn't even know that that was possible, but documenting them and just watching their incredible strength and the gorgeous colors that they have, and the fact that they can see more colors than we can, is just fascinating. I would love to have a pair of glasses that would let me see just what these fantasy beasts could see. Next we have the open ocean. This one, I have to say, was the most majestic, but at the same time most terrifying. Most people think of mermaids as very majestic, but at the same time be wary of sirens that will call pirates to sea and take them down and make them a permanent addition to the ocean. To say the least, some of them are friendly and some of them are downright terrifying, and sometimes you can't tell the difference because looks can be deceiving, and so can the sounds of these beasts. Some say that they can speak human, but I would say otherwise. Next, documenting the Thorns star. I honestly didn't know that this was a starfish, and when I found pictures of it, I was wanting to pet it, but it's dangerous, but at the same time so adorable, and the idea that I had when documenting this for the encyclopedia, I don't know why, I just wanted to make them look so derpy, and just like a tiny little starfish lizard. I don't know exactly where the combination came from, but I gotta say, these guys are super cute, super dangerous, but I would still be tempted to try to scoop them up in my hands and try to carry them with me along the ocean. Up next, we have the Triggerfish. Of documenting, I gotta say, I was very tempted to make a meme illustration out of this, but I held back because it probably wouldn't have turned out as good as this illustration. Off the top of my head, when documenting this fish, the colors, the vibrancy, the patterns, I have never done such intricate patterns like this, and I gotta say, this is definitely a bonus of mermay working on these creatures, coming up with such unique designs, both within and outside of my comfort zone. Gotta say, this one is one of my favorites. Up next, we have the Orca, which has both a good and bad reputation, which, doing some of my own research, led me to find some sad stuff about them with what aquariums tried to do with these beautiful creatures, and some majestic news, which I didn't realize was an evolutionary thing until now. These guys actually were also along the same thing as dolphins and whatnot, based off of a land creature that decided to go to the ocean, because if you look inside whales and dolphins, some of them actually have a hip vertebrae. Fish don't need those, so it's actually something that is still a part of some of their bone structures, and I thought that this was just kind of a fascinating little fun fact. I'll also put up a diagram on the right side so you can see what I'm talking about. Next of the documents, we have the Greenland shark. These sharks look so old, they look like zombie sharks. They have such a almost like dry skin where they just look like they really need some lotion. And I honestly couldn't decide if I wanted to go for a more monstrous or more merman approach, and I went with something in between, but I gotta say, I don't know what I was thinking when I made those fin-like things on the head, but I'm very happy with how this guy turned out overall, and yeah, a handsome little old fish. Next, we have the leatherback, and my goodness, I at first was not going to document the little tiny children, but I mean, just the way they are by size comparison, when you see a cluster of these turtle eggs, it's so fascinating, and honestly, it's quite sad and terrifying to think that birds could just very easily swoop them up. So I just imagine that, like, if the parent turtles were able to protect their little ones, I would imagine that they would just kind of have them underneath them, so they would waddle underneath the parents. Next, we have the robber crab, or coconut crabs. I didn't realize that these could become so huge. These guys look like they are walking giant armored tanks. So you can imagine the first thought that came to my mind was something beast-like. At the same time, somehow I can't take my own monster seriously, because just look at his face. Just look at that face. I mean, the body looks like a tank, but the head just looks like an innocent, lost child, just wandering around aimlessly, trying to find food. Just imagine this, walking up to you in an alleyway, and perhaps this could be a fun D&D monster, just imagining a robber crab coming up to you and asking you for money. What would you do? By this point, I was running very low on creative fuel, but deep sea, I honestly, I have to say, I'm glad I didn't go with the first vision in my head, because when I think of deep sea, I think of divers, and I think of their masks, and I think of just kind of something that looks terrifying and out of this world. And honestly, I feel like the kind of sayings of, we shouldn't be exploring space, we should be focusing more on what's beneath the ocean. I think we should just leave what's in the bottom of the ocean at the bottom of the ocean. I don't think we need to travel too far down, especially with the pressure down there, because we don't know what we could unearth. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if some of our monster creations turned out to be real and are hiding at the bottom of the ocean. Of a much lighter note, I actually didn't know that sea dragons were such a thing for seahorses. They look so majestic and so beautiful. Like, look them up. They look like kelp that has come alive, and it is like a mythical being that just looks so gorgeous. I honestly would have to say that if we did have dragons of the sea, I'd want these. I would want small, beautiful, non-dangerous beauties like these, because honestly, just like, imagine these being our versions of dragons and fairies. Just like, they're not what we expect, but they're still something that is a warm welcome, because they're not dangerous and they're not going to set our houses upon fire, or, you know, tear us limb from limb like the leviathans. Moving closer to land, we have an albatross. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I wasn't expecting to get an aviary kind of bird species, but I gotta say, just looking at the face, just imagine a regular seagull. Now, most people know the struggles of food. You drop a single french fry and you're swarmed. Just imagine these guys, but like, they're 5 to 6 feet tall, so they're the same size as you coming at you for your french fries or your fish and chips. You better offer them some food, or they're going to take your fingers for food. along the final stretch here, we have the blue whale. This one was actually something that I was very happy with getting, and I had quite a bit of fun, but I was running very low on art fuel. I was down to the last few, and I couldn't think of any more monstrous ones, so the closest thing I have is her fins instead of hands, and I gotta say that this prompt list by Subjectively over on YouTube was well worth it for this year. This made me go so far outside my comfort zone and make me come up with such strange creatures to document in an encyclopedia that I had to say this was just well worth it. If you've never done a mermaid, highly recommend trying something like this next year. Or even just do it on your own. Just spend a day doing a few illustrations of things you've never done before. And last but not least, we have a Taiyaki. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know what Subjectively was thinking when they made this, but my god, this was perfect for the final stretch. I was so out of juice when it came to coming up with something, and then I was just like, alright, what's the last word? What fish or sea monster or bird do I have to do? And then I saw it was a food. To be more specific, I think it's basically like a cookie type shell with beans inside, and it's like a sweet but savory, and I had to make them sassy of like that sweet and savory, and I just had so much fun with this one. I gotta say, this one was definitely one that was well outside of my comfort zone, but well worth it in the long run, because it made me experiment with so many different shapes. So much fun. And although food doesn't make sounds, I definitely gave her her own monster sound. And that wraps up my first ever mermaid. This was so much fun, I gotta say. I want to be able to do more videos like these, but these videos would not be possible without you guys, and if you guys would like your name read out at the end of the credits, I have a Patreon available for such things and exclusive behind-the-scenes comics, pages, and videos. If you guys would like to support the channel for free, please just put your paws to that subscribe button and join the Subscribbler Squad. Every little bit helps, and thank you all so much, and I will see you all in the next video. Stay possum, Subscribblers. Bye-bye!